Hi all and welcome to the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams and we've got a show. We didn't think I would be able to do a show this week and I left it to the last minute and here we are. So I'm in a new location, safer location, given some of the fun and games that's been going on, which we will be covering in this show. It will likely be a shorter show. Less news and more dynamic information in in its scope. And there's been a lot going on, a lot of, that couldn't be said, a lot that can't be said currently because we are in kind of final showdown time on many levels, and we will prevail. We're winning heavily where it matters, and you'll find out some of the circles and fields of operation that we've been dabbling in over recent times, more so over the last few months. All right, let's get into some details of the show. And if you want to listen live, you can listen on www.spreaker.com/user/895-5881. And we have the ever-expanding Think website now, thinkdifferent.thepeoplesclub.org. You can listen live from there. You can listen to all the archives. And we've got a lot of new members. If you want to find out the essence of what THI is all about, go to the archive section of must listen to shows and listen to them in order. You will get the gist of what this show's all about, what we're involved in, and what everything entails. You know, there's some groundbreaking shows there that were ahead of its time when they were originally put out, but we're now in that time that people will be able to see it more. So that's thinkdifferent.thepeoplesclub.org, and we've also got self-empowerment stuff on there, how to protect yourself from psychic attacks, grounding, shielding and centering documents. There's all kinds on there, and go and check it out. We have the Facebook page called Truth, Honour and Integrity. We also have a Facebook social media alternative without the privacy and data issues and mind control that goes on Facebook, all the algorithm nonsense, at MeWe, that's mewe.com. Some people have had difficulty joining. Send a request to the email, and I know somebody sent me one the other day and I just haven't got round to doing the emails. I will fix that later on. You can send an email to the show for comments or questions for the show at truth.honor.and.integrity@gmail.com. truth.honor.and.integrity@gmail.com. And we have the People's Club, the foundation, when that gets started, all about that at thepeoplesclub.org. And also the Patreon fund, which is increasing by the week, and I'm really pleased with that, which will become apparent at a later date as to why. And that's at www.patreon.com/TommyW/memberships. And Patreon is spelled Patreon. We've got, I haven't had time to do the promised video show, but these have been hectic times over the last month. There's, like I said, there's an awful lot going on, both publicly, privately, and personally for myself. And it is what it is, and you just got to adapt and get on with it. And so here we are today. Right, we've got a bit of news. I was going to add more, but I thought, what the hell? It's more important not necessarily. It's not necessarily intel, although it would be classed as intel. It's the pieces that follow that are the key aspect to this show and what is going on currently. Right, I hope the sound is okay and we can continue. Right, maybe not. As long as the bulk of you can hear it, that's all that matters. Right. Some minor news items. We're going to have a music break and then we're going to go into the pieces that I've covered for this show after that. And, of course, what's dominated most of this week after President Donald Trump's rather stunning news conference on Monday next to the Russian President Vladimir Putin. I will cover more on that later. Members of Congress, including some powerful Republicans, were quick to rebuke Trump's performance on the world stage and Trump's refusal to call Putin out for interfering in the US election, which wasn't the case. And House Speaker Paul Ryan contradicted several comments Trump made during his Helsinki news conference, most notably back in the US intelligence community assessment that Russia had meddled with the US 2016 presidential election. I can't believe 2 years later, with all the resources, that they're still babbling on about that. But on we go. And according to him, there's no question that Russia interfered in our election and continues to attempt to undermine democracy here. I didn't realise we were a democracy, but there you go. And around the world. Oh, they are already. Given the US has meddled in 61 elections since Second World War. Mr. Ryan went on, that is not just the finding of an American intelligence community, but also the House Committee on Intelligence. And he said the president must appreciate that Russia is not our ally. Didn't say that back in the 1800s, did you? But there you go. There is no moral equivalence between the United States and Russia, which remains hostile to our most basic values and ideals. What a load of bollocks that is. Sorry, it just is. Next news item. It's about Trump again. And the words of a former CIA director, Michael V. Hayden. He stated that he appeared raw, naked and unfiltered. John O'Brien, another former spy chief, called the president's performance treasonous. Really? And Mark Lowenthal, a former CIA assistant director and congressional intelligence official, said it was just beyond the pale. This is more to do with Trump's speech with Mr. Putin. Now, Mr. Trump has frequently questioned the conclusion of his own spies, being the operative word, that Russia attempted to influence the 2016 election and has tried to do the same regarding potential Russian meddling in this year's midterms. So we're going to hear that all the way up to November now. And when the wrong result is acquired, they're going to carry on for another 2 years or so, they think. But this time he did it standing right next to Vladimir Putin of Russia, who has repeatedly denied that Russia made any effort to interfere in the vote. A denial that American intelligence officials say is nothing more than a hollow lie. No, don't, Tommy. But now Mr. Trump asked Monday at his news conference in Helsinki whether he believed his own people or Mr. Putin. The American president appeared to come down on the side of the Russian leader, and Mr. Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today, Mr. Trump said. So, like I said, I'll have more on that shortly. But that's kind of dominated the news this week. And yes, there's other things that have gone on, but I haven't had time to keep up with. But the gist is, that is a load of repeated narrative. And they think by repeating a lie often enough, it will stick. It won't anymore. Time and timelines have changed. So putting out the lie and repeating it that worked in the past does not work now. And it makes you look stupid. And at what point, or what part of no interference in what is now a very costly inquiry do these people not understand? The media put it out a couple of months ago, that it was stated there was no interference. So why all of a sudden, has there been a memory wipe from 2 months ago? Why all of a sudden now is it real again for them? Unbelievable. Now, Mr. Trump has further declared today he's not happy about the fact that the Federal Reserve are raising interest rates. Rest assured, that will be addressed. That's all I'm going to say for now. He argued that the higher rates puts the US at a disadvantage and impede faster growth, which is exactly what they're trying to do. However, he added that he is letting them do what they think is best. That's not the way, Mr. Trump, and you know it, and I know it. And that's the third time this year that they have raised interest rates when they're telling you that the economy has improved, but I'm not seeing any evidence of such. I'm seeing gas prices go up, which makes transport costs go up, which makes food go up. And all that's going to happen is people are going to end up borrowing more, and they know that. And so they raise the interest rates. It's that vicious cycle again. Another thing that failed, Amazon suffered glitches this week at the start of Prime Day on Monday, whatever that means. And that slowed sales down on the e-retailer's biggest shopping day of the year. And its shopping holiday kicked off on Monday and ran for 36 hours, which was the longest Prime Day yet. And shoppers were reporting several errors on both the desktop site and also the mobile app. Oh my. Which is rather typical, Amazon did not respond to requests for comments from any of the news people or the portal people. But they did later post on Twitter some customers, lots of them, if not most of them, are having difficulty shopping and we're working to resolve the issue quickly. Another thing that failed. Right. This will... let's see where I'm up to. Let's get this out. So the Trump-Putin meeting that ended with public indignation from many camps and many sides. And apart from the more obvious names, none of the indignation is real. All of it is faked and staged, so they can fill many hours of portal people adding drama, all to add to the theatre that politics and the mainstream media have become. But what will happen going forward is neither of those groups in their current format will operate like it is now. Neither of them will last. Now, the private meeting between Trump and Putin should have delivered a joint global announcement. But that was blocked at the last minute by the clowns. Rest assured, it won't always be that way. Trust me. You can't keep blocking everything. And this is why neither of them looked happy when they came out into the public glare. But Trump, being Trump, stated the facts in the right way regarding the US election and Russia basically as an FU to the deep state. Now, fittingly, the deep state, supported by their paid lackeys, the portal people, in the mainstream media, then ran hit pieces after hit pieces on Trump, which sadly all too many of them lapped it up due to their anti-Russian fear programming they've all devoured on for most of their lives. And all of it is fear-based and fake propaganda. If Russia seriously wanted to damage people, one press of a button or one turn of a wheel, however it operates, could send the EU back into pre-industrial times. Why? By turning off the natural gas pipeline to the whole of Europe. Britain itself only has 2 to 3 days of stock at any time. So if that pipeline got turned off, if they want to continue with sanctions and Putin decides to sanction natural gas, the problem is in the UK and many other EU countries is more of the energy is run on gas than electric. So if Putin turns it off, where will that leave the EU and the NATO goons? Now, I'm not suggesting he's going to do that. I want to make that quite clear. But if you push people and spit out propaganda and lies, it's only a matter of time before they decide to fire back. I think within that time. NATO, they're the ones that are pushing all this. But why are countries even listening to NATO? The reality is they are a glorified fund siphoning program. Pure and simple. Each country in Europe has its own military. So the EU is already an alliance of sorts. So if country A attacks country B, then countries C through P will defend country B. So why is there a need for NATO? The reality is there isn't. It's another fund-looting quango like the UN. Now, it's kind of fitting that they both call themselves peacekeepers. Peacekeepers of what exactly? Well, you're spitting out the same narrative from 70 years ago that Russia's the problem, Russia's the problem. Really? What was the last country Russia directly attacked that wasn't a peacekeeping exercise? Yeah, you can spit out Ukraine, but we all know the reality is that was more NATO, Langley, BS, pure and simple. So what you're all witnessing is the last rites being played out on two dying entities. None of it's pleasant, and all of it's sheer ugly, and a poor reflection of society today. A society too laden with the drama of it all, rather than be the change or the solution-based reality. This is what the MSM does. the alternative media is rapidly becoming the same way. Do you think replicating the mainstream media is going to get us the change? It won't. It's all too much. He said this and she said that, like a long-running soap opera. And like I said, the same thing is happening in the alternative media. I get messages, Anna said this and Anna said that. Who gives a flying F what she says? Really? Who or what made her an authority on anything? Except the Vatican and the agency scriptwriters. The gist is, we have to be better at what we do going forward. Not what they do, what we do. Or we will repeat their failed attempts at fixing anything. Next piece, and then we'll take a short music break. So I said earlier, it won't always be the way where we can be blocked on certain levels by the clowns. This applies on many levels now. And all they really have left is blocking. But with regards to forcing Trump to change his narrative on Russia publicly, I want to personally thank the deep state, the agencies, and the factions for showing the world how you operate and interfere with your special brand of illusionary narrative. I want to thank you all personally, as you have, with that public action, validated everything I've said in this show in its entirety. You have no idea the joy that brought me as you came out of the conspiracy shadows and revealed yourself in its full glory. The episode last week of forcing Trump to cover their asses has also revealed how much Trump can really do on any level. So you have also people, it's helped people, or I hope it's helped people, and make them realise when I told them Trump cannot be the saviour. He can't do it on his own. We have to provide a platform to save ourselves. So I want to thank all the deep state for that also. You see, the so-called most powerful man politically, when it suits certain agendas to portray it that way, is reduced to a puppet on a string dancing to the tune of the deep state. With their 26 levels of secrecy above the president. But your 26 layers came crashing down the day you humiliated the president in full public glare. Your veil of secrecy has all been laid bare for all to see. Once again, deep state, we thank you for your services. Hi all and welcome back. Right. We left before the music break saying thank you to the deep state for exposing themselves. And the thank yous don't end there. Because our next special thank you goes to Anna von Reitz and her new ramblings of half-truths, some full truths, and a load of outright BS. So Kim and I would like to thank you for your latest rant or post, whatever you want to call it, as you just validated our show again, like the deep state did, by outing exactly which group you work with. Oops. As that information could only have come from Langley 2, aka the Nazi faction. Miss Von Wright, you have no idea how happy you have made us. None whatsoever. Knowing you are now confirmed as working directly for the human genocide group. Let your listeners and followers know that. And whilst we have their attention, I will mention that you are also a paid-up member of AAIA. You failed to answer that last time, as exposes who you work for. AAIA are the Nazi faction, and you are a paid member. Also, while we're at it, I will remind your followers that you approached Kim, the trustee, which you validated back in a post in February, to claim 1/3 of all America's in-ground resources, not for the American people or some bizarre tribe up in Alaska. Was it, Anna? No. It was for the fake Chinese elders, who are likely just a fake name for the Rothschilds. Seems you're kind of fond of fake names, given you made up one this week called Virgo Triad. Right out of the Langley script, along with Flat Earth. Unless it's an unknown YouTube group which has exposed you and others like Heather Giraffe and that man-woman April Lejeune. If that's just the group you're referring to, then oh my, you've completely lost it. Kim uses her time in better ways than exposing internet fraudsters, and I'm sorry, we just don't have the time to be dealing with that rubbish. But please fully explain AAIA and your attempted theft from the American people, Anna. But like I said earlier, I want to thank you for validating what this show has said all along. You and the deep state have proven that greatly this week. And following last week's show where Wilcock and Drake outed themselves to what this show had said a long time back, these are kind of fun times for validation of THI. Right, so that's the fun part over. Now, on MeWe, I'm hoping Lee has posted a drawing, and someone's posted it onto Facebook. It's always better with a visual rather than describing it, but I will attempt to describe it because this is what's played out in the past and it's come up again now. If you draw a Union Jack flag, which is the British flag, with the up and down and left and right parts, essentially it's a plus sign and an X overlaid. But the plus sign, you make it wider so it looks like a tunnel. And then shade the triangles that are created down both sides. You shade them out. There's two triangles on both sides. Like I said, you'll understand this with better with a visual. But this explains what happened to Earth 78,000 years ago. And essentially, once you have visualized it all, you will see what looks like an egg timer. Time being the operative word. Now, essentially, this planet fell into the top end of the vortex 78,000 years ago. So as we came down from the top, at the center, there are two tunnels, left and right. They are the escape tunnels. Now, coming down, those on a better evolutionary path would go to the left and the east gate. Those not aligned or not sufficiently evolved on a soul level would go to the west gate on the right, on the downward path. But once you get to the bottom, like an egg timer, it turns upside down. Then we are going up the torus, and the east gate, which was on the left coming down, is now on the right, not the left. That is where humanity failed in previous attempts. They didn't realize it had been flipped. So they all ended up going through the west gate and looping back into the same system. Now, currently, we are going up. Those that are ready when the time is right will go to the right, which is the east gate, and out of this system. Now, the top funnel and the bottom funnel are equivalent to 26,000 years. Coming down to the center is 13,000 years, and then another 13,000 years once you go through the center. The center is essentially the singularity or the 0 point. These are the 3 days of darkness, as I understand it. But given only the dark forces knew whether we were on a downward spiral or the upward spiral, we got tricked going through the west gate and looped into the bottom half of 0 point and 13,000 years descending. Whereby then it was tipped again, and when the 0 point arrived again, we got tricked again, because you think, well, we'll go through that gate. Well, no, that was the downward gate, not the upward gate. Now, what this system creates is a closed system, essentially, like we are swirling up and down a tube. And this explains why all stars rotate around a fixed point. This wouldn't be the case in an open system. The stars would move about, they wouldn't be in the same position over eons. Now, a solar or a galaxy system should not be a closed circle. It should be a figure 9. And the reason being is the open end is for expansion and ascension, as it's more commonly known as, which is moving. The planet or the system is moving into a higher vibration space of both time and space that has to be conducive for those who are going there. And this is what everything and everyone is preparing for now. We are in those times again, which is why the teachers have returned with the knowledge. One hopes people will listen more than previous times when the heirs teachers arrived, whereby the people, the very people they were saving, ended up killing them all off. We have to think and act differently this time. And before people ask for dates, no one, and I repeat, no one knows the actual date, only a time span. And we're in that time span. So I hope you got a grasp of that. It will become easier to see when you see that drawing, which I hope Lee's put up. And you will get the idea. We came in the top pot, and then the cross line is the 0 point of the up vertical and the horizontal, and then the 13,000 years of the pyramid pot, whereas the top one is a V. Both are a V, they're just tipped upside down. So I hope you all understand that. But things are moving on that level. Now the next thing I need to mention, because it's going to be prevalent in coming days, weeks and months, is off-world trade again. As it is prevalent now in what is going on. And as I understand it, 70% of world trade was for off-world trade, including our resources, our labour, and also using us as a food source. But in many aspects, minerals was the key to it, and still is. The SSP, SS small p, cabal elements and some off and on-world elements all want to escape out of here so they can regroup and come back with greater forces, or depart and turn this planet into an uninhabitable zone, which they have done to many other worlds, using the weapon known as the Fash Destroyer that creates deserts everywhere it rolls out. So we're hearing from certain groups now that they are trying to obtain some certain elements that could be used in some ways for time travel and space travel. Now this planet had those machines and were readily available and in use here around 110,000 years ago, until the Dark Forces caused war that brought the second moon down, called Fata, and destroyed much here, including the continent known as the Arya, which was north of Russia. But the revelation that so much of our trade was off-world, but rest assured all of those trade agreements are cancelled and delayed until we are in a better understanding of all of it. The quantum system knows every single trade, both past, present and future. So you think you're going to get away with it. You're not. But those trapped here continue with their endless quest, whereby they are leaving behind vast quantities of gold in their quest to find certain elements. Unbeknown to many, gold is considered to be trash. Oops. I have a message for those people, and you know who you are, and you also know where you are. None of what you are doing will work now or the future. I'll repeat that again. None of what you are doing will work now or the future. Now, I'm sure you will ignore me and carry on regardless. Until, like all the other things, it becomes beyond the pale of failure after failure after failure after failure. But I will repeat, nothing will work until the following is accomplished. We are asking for a face-to-face meeting of human and non-human groups, whereby we can gain a trust between each other with a common goal of us all benefiting. Not just a few, all of us. From our end, we require full transparency of what the intentions are behind certain types of mining. What are the capabilities of these certain elements coming to light and merging with others? And I guarantee you will not be continuing to use people and non-humans as slaves underground in hazardous conditions to fulfill your service to self goals. Yes, we've seen the evidence recently put in, and the various slag heaps just down the sides of the mountains that are worth 14 trillion alone. But you're not after that, are you? You will cease all other games that you are playing of memory wipes and overlaying places. We did notice. And we don't approve of that type of mind effery of the people and the ETs in certain regions that you're doing that to around the planet. We are offering to set up a meeting where all parties, human or otherwise, whether they are off-world or inner-world entities, are all represented. And preferably don't send your warrior types from the respective groups, as those people are too single-minded when flexibility is required here and now. This way we can gain some sort of trust basis amongst all the groups, set some boundaries that are congruent to all the groups, and set a path forward of us all working together as equals. And I mean equals. No more slave races on this planet, be it human or otherwise. Once that level is reached, cooperation to solve all the individual issues or requests will suddenly begin to work. It's the only way it will work. and I will repeat that again so you understand or grasp it, a collective cooperation of all involved, and things will actually begin to work again. A failure to do that will lead to your repeated failures to require the necessary elements or resources you require. That will never work. The only things that will work are the ones where we're all in a harmonic resonance and balance that benefits the all. Source directive, whether you like it or you don't. So you continue with your failed projects, mired in secrecy and control. It's not a secret to us, I might add. We know what's going on. Despite your overlays, time changes, appearance changes, the new frequencies allow some of us to see you all now. Oops. Message to the military elements, providing support for these people and beings. You are being played. You are not getting the full picture. You may think you know. You don't. Because some of the groups that you are dealing with don't know the bigger picture either. All of this plan and system was formulated by Marduk and his band of Draco psychopaths, all aided by the people who steal our living water, known as the Mantids. Now, the system that Marduk created was designed to loosh our whole planet of everything and then destroy it. And despite some of you with badges thinking you are important, newsflash, you ain't. I'm sorry, but you're just not. You're being used as a slave to that system also. Global debt of this planet only makes sense when the whole planet is being emptied out to somewhere else. This explains the global debt, as no one knows who it's owed to. It was all owed to M and the Draco. And yes, I know you've been threatened that you have to do this, this and this, or they're going to blow the planet. Trust me, they can't do that no more. But you can find out for yourself. Now, this same system is used financially against countries also. It's the same thing, a repeating pattern, where the IMF loans out money, countries money, to stabilise their economy, or so they say. It's not. It's an ever-increasing debt cycle that they know eventually the country won't escape from. And eventually you get to a position like Greece or Cyprus and many others, and the IMF, working for the Rothschildians and subsequently the Draco, then turn around and ask for the resources, the ports, the roads, the rail, and whole islands as payment of the falsely created debt. And the reason it's falsely created is that money came out of the trust. It wasn't yours to give out or loan. It wasn't a loan. Then they take over each country. And that system is how M worked. Except he and they were here to loose our whole planet. Except now he's gone. Both Kim and I witnessed the evidence of that. You, due to your lack of knowledge of the plan, are failing badly on all levels, because you have failed to work out, with M gone, the programming of harvesting the whole planet went with him. But the stupid thing is, you are continuing that program and finding out that you are chewing from both ends, like the Ouroboros, and eventually there will be nothing left for anyone, including yourselves. This is why nothing you do on a bigger scale works anymore. M had an open system to siphon it out. You're operating in a closed system that devours itself, and you need to wake up to the new reality. Once you see that and reach out a hand and shake the one we gave you, then we can all go forward. If you think, well, we'll take you all down with us, newsflash, that'll fail also, as only you will go down. We will be fine and start anew without clown interference. We will achieve much in a very short space of time. Step down off your defunct M program. See the reality for what it is. Reach out a hand and join us on an equal, transparent basis so we can all go forward, or face your own destiny of failure, frustration, and a slow death. You see, we have time, as they call it. You don't. Your clock is ticking down to your own failed destiny. Or you can take the hand that has reached out to you and start a new path with us all. It's your choice. Hi all and welcome back. Only time. That's all it is. I hope they don't waste too much of everyone's time before they realise they've lost. You're not going to achieve the M plan. Do you really want to go down that path? Is that what your own destiny decides? That you're going to follow a 9 foot talking lizard? So the goons in Langley, is that really what you're all about? Yes, I know there's fear programs on all levels. But if you'd all step down, who's there to fear? Only yourselves. The people are waiting for you. We're ready. On every level. You're not. Kowtowing to clowns in NATO and the Rothschilds and the banksters who are playing the old M game of war, death and destruction. I'll ask you again. Is that your plan? If not, you know where we are. If it is, good luck with that. Next message, which may bring some clarity to your thinking. All gates will remain closed to you until we learn to work together. You'll probably try again, and you'll fail again. All the elements that worked previously, when combined them in the right way, will not work now or in the near future until we all work together in harmony. It's the new directive, whether you like it or you don't. Escape plans will not work either, no matter what you try. You are all stuck here until you see sense or die. Like I said, again, it's your choice. We can all go forward and prosper together as equals, or you fail. We won't. Now the next message to the clowns is you can call off your accident assassins, all 100 of them that you trained to take us out. Because that won't bring you the change you desire either. You may think you can cheat by bumping off certain people in our group, by making it look like an accident. But everyone knows what you are doing and what you are up to. It's not just you that has eyes and ears everywhere. So please quit with your stupidity of taking us out. It won't work on any level. Quit with your toxins, quit with your tipping loads off trucks, and quit with your other methods you try this week. Just be nice. You got that? Be nice now. Yes, we know. Where are we next? 2 more pieces, and then we'll probably go into Q&A then. But I've got to reference the portal people and their vacuous nature again. It's in full overdrive, drama. Just turn them off. Turn them off. They offer nothing but agency script bullshittery narratives. You know, let's be honest, it's like a shite soap opera on overdrive mode. to take the rap. Costly mistake for her, and this is why I warn against challenging the IRS, against avoiding getting a driver's licence, strawman accounts, and using common law in current courts. All of them are valid, there's no question of that. They're all valid, but not in their system. You don't get the backing. It needs a whole town to go, we're not paying the IRS, or we're not getting a driver's licence, or we don't want your maritime law courts, we're going to create our own. A whole town has to do it collectively. Otherwise, they hang people out to dry. And this time it's Heather. Whilst McKenny and Lisa Harrison are still free. Those pair of fraudsters should be in the next cell with Heather Giraffe, in my opinion. And I don't care who doesn't like that. Go and stick it. Those people were fraudsters. They were told they were involved in a shady operation, which I'm not even convinced Ms. Giraffe was fully aware of it. There were just other elements that were higher up. Maybe I'm giving Heather a bit too much